This is the plaintiff, Dominique Nelson. She says she rented an apartment from the defendant on a month-to-month basis, and the heartless guy kicked her out onto the street without giving her 30 days' notice. If that weren't bad enough, the louse now refuses to return her security, and she's here suing for the $1,797 she's owed. This is the defendant, Dana Murphy. He says she's a very nice person who works with shelters to place women into homes who need assistance, and the plaintiff was referred to him by a friend. After living there for only a month, the plaintiff had trouble keeping up with the rent, and he asked her to leave because he needs his rent money on time and in full. Owe her all this money? Come on. He's accused of ruining a rental.
All parties, please raise your right hand.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says that the landlord, the defendant, kicked her out of the apartment and she had absolutely no place to go. But the defendant is saying she was just really slow in paying her rent, ended up not paying her rent, and he had no other option. It's the case of rental ruckus.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Nelson, you were renting from Mr. Murphy, and you moved in when? April, mid-April?
April 17th.
And sometime in May, is it accurate that you were having a little trouble getting the rent together and paying it all at once?
Yeah, some things happened all at once prior to us moving in, so that made it kind of hard, but we still kept up with our payments as best as we could.
All right, well, what did you pay for May rent? Just $402?
Oh, no. I paid more than that. Mr. Murphy was given, I gave him first a money order. It was two separate ones. One was $1,000, the other one was $395, and then I gave him an extra.
Okay, but that, according to you, hold on. So that money, according to you, was for a security deposit, right?
Well, see, right, that was security, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then what did you pay in rent for April?
He was given $1,795.
Is $1,795 what he was charging for rent for the apartment?
He was actually charging $2,000 for rent.
Okay. So who was going to make up the difference? Were you supposed to pay the difference? Was it social services paying the $1,795 and you're supposed to pay the difference or no?
No. Okay. What happened was they only gave me a budget of $1,500 and I would have to give the rest. The rent is $2,000. So when I was first offered the apartment, I was told all I had to give was $1,395 because that was our first budget from social services. They moved it up to $1,500. And then Mr. Murphy was introduced to me. We gave him what we were told. My case manager said, give a money order first of $1,395 since that was what your first budget was. And they're going to give him the $1,500 and the check for us to move in. And that's how it went.
Was that $1,500 supposed to cover what month? April?
That was supposed to be for April for us moving in, yes.
Okay.
So I paid
now
for
May comes, and on May 1st, are you supposed to be paying rent?
Well, he wanted us to pay rent on May 1st, and that kind of mixed up everything after us giving him this money that we just gave him, the $1,395 money order, and then the $402 I sent straight to his Cash App, and then he wanted money on the 1st, which was like, okay, we just gave you all this money. All right, no problem. We gave it to him. I was a little short, and I did mention that to Mr.
How much money did you give him?
I gave him $1,400.
On May 1st?
Yes, I have that Cash App proof. I gave him $1,400 and told him.
Okay, what was the $402 for additional rent for? That was for what?
When I first got there, and he said, "Oh, by the way, I need an extra $402 for next month," and I'm like, "Well, from my understanding, that was already a part of the $1,395 from what my case manager told me." So I still gave it to him. I still sent it to him. I sent him $402 on April 19th. I have the proof for that as well.
Did you sign a lease? Did you sign a lease?
Yes, I did. I signed a month-to-month lease with him. Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, Mr. Murphy, let me ask you. She moves in, and social services is paying part of her rent and everything else. But there is a security deposit. According to her, the security deposit is $1,395, and she wants it back because in May you decided that you didn't want her to live there. Correct?
No, so the security deposit was given through DSS, correct? But that security was I kept the security because she didn't give me a 30 days notice that she was moving out because she already started struggling.
Well, let's talk about that. But aren't you, I'm reading your answer to the complaint where you say, hey, she can't afford this place and I want her out. And I tell her,
Right.
in fact, according to you, you offered her $1,000 to get out. So you're telling her to get out. So why is it a big surprise that she did get out just like you told her to? What day did she move out?
May 31st, I believe.
Okay, is that accurate? You moved out by May 31st?
We were supposed, yes. Emergency housing came and got us.
Okay, does he actually offer you $1,000 to get out?
He did, and I have that email, and I said to him, you got it. Let me make sure I have somewhere to put my children. My husband and I went to go see if we can get that help, and he said, your landlord has to give you 30 days. We can't help you. He came to me and said, no, I want you out now. And I said that my kids come first, and of course, we're not confrontational, and he knew this. Once they said, you know what, someone's coming to pick you guys up, I'm like, just give me time to get my son home from school, and we'll leave. No problem.
Where'd you end up going?
We went to a place, it's like, in Suffolk County called CHI. CHI is the housing place they put you at when you have nowhere else to go. So I was there until May 28th. Actually, May 25th, I was there. I left.
And where are you living now? Did you find a place through assistance?
Yes. No, actually, no. My father had 2 extra bedrooms, so I'm living down south now with my family.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you a question. Who referred her to you, Mr. Murphy? Actually, I'm asking you. Who referred her to you?
A caseworker at one of the shelters.
Okay, but who's a friend of yours, right?
We're not close friends. We just she gave me a few people to move in a few of my properties. We're more like business
because I'm
associates.
Curious. In your answer to the complaint, I read that you offered the plaintiff the money. The plaintiff couldn't get out fast enough, and then you offered the $1,000 to the caseworker.
Yeah, so she said, give me $1,000 and I'll get her out. And then she ended up finding.
Okay, and did you give the caseworker $1,000?
I did, actually. She got her out the apartment by the 1st.
I mean, am I the only one who thinks that's seedy? Because that sounds awful. Does she work for the government?
She
shouldn't be pocketing. That's taking a bribe.
She wouldn't. Dominic wouldn't take my initial offer for $1,000 to move out.
I don't care that Dominic wouldn't take your $1,000. I care that a caseworker did. Hold on, Mr. Murphy. And what do you say to that, Ms. Nelson?
Welcome back to the People's Court. The plaintiff says she wants her security back because the defendant unceremoniously threw her out of the apartment. Now, the defendant saying she just wasn't paying rent, so he had no other option. Let's go back into the courtroom.
I am in complete, utter shock at this moment. And then I meet
You
Mr.
know
Murphy.
who the caseworker is that he's talking about. Okay, stop. You know who the caseworker is. Yeah, you need to file a complaint and get a copy of this testimony because that's outrageous.
And I'm going to tell her boss. I'm going to tell her boss.
So that's outrageous if she took $1,000 from him to get you out faster. You need to file a complaint, Ms. Nelson. Now, let me ask you, Mr. Murphy.
Definitely
if you ask somebody to get out and they get out and you so want them to get out that you bribe the caseworker or give her $1,000 or, you do it. So you want them out. How are you looking me in the eye and saying you didn't get 30 days notice? They got out exactly when you forced them to get out. So tell me your other reason. Your first reason for keeping the security deposit is that you feel that shouldn't go back to her because she didn't pay it. Is that right?
No, if anything, if I was to pay back the security deposit, it would have to go back to DSS because they the one that gave me the security deposit. She never gave me a security deposit. She just paid for her first month.
That's not how it works.
That's not true.
You don't get to, first of all, that's not what you said in your answer to the complaint. What you said is she doesn't get it because she didn't pay. But, by the way, May, June, July, did you actually send that money to DSS? No, right? You have it in your pocket, right?
Okay, yeah.
Come on, we all know the answer, right? So, no, that's not how it works. If she has to give it back to any agency, I'm sure they'll chase her for it because they actually know that she's not living there anymore. You don't have any complaint about damages. Security deposit is for damages. There are no damages, and therefore I order the $1,395 to go back to the plaintiff. The additional $402, I kind of don't understand because you lived there in May. Why should you get that back? What did he say to you for why you had to pay $402? Yeah, but he asked you to pay it for what? For April, for May, for what?
For May.
For May?
He said it was pre.
Okay, but you lived there in May, so why should you get it back? You're saying that he was, because the lease that you, and I don't see a signed lease here. I do see a lease. Maybe you signed your copy and didn't give it to him, but I do see a lease. And what it says is that the rent is what? What does your lease say?
Hey, it's 2,000. Yes, ma'am. I understand.
Okay, so the 402 would have been to augment the money that they didn't pay, because how much did they pay you? Did they end up paying you 2,000 for May, or did they end up paying you less?
Less.
Mr. Murphy, less. What did they end up paying you?
They
Go ahead.
paid
What was the
me,
402 for?
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but the 402 was equaled up to the $2,000. So they paid me.
Right. So you were asking for the 402 for May, and May you were there the whole month, so you don't get the 402 back. But I am ruling in your favor in the $1,395 verdict for the plaintiff.
Thank you so much.
You need to pay her. You're welcome.
Thank you. Oh my God. Damn, man.
So the plaintiff is going to get back $1,395. Mr. Murphy, the defendant, let me talk to you for a moment. What do you think about the judge's decision here and finding out that you paid $1,000 to a caseworker? That's not so hot. What do you think?
I think that the judgment was fair. I knew that she was going to end up struggling. She was already struggling the next month to pay the rent. So I didn't want to move forward with her because it would have been an ongoing thing month after month after month. So I figured we just end the lease soon and just get out right away.
All right. Well, she is out, but you got to give her the money back. Ms. Nelson, let me ask you a question. You seem kind of shocked at the end of the case. Why were you so shocked? What are you thinking?
I didn't expect for my case manager to do exactly what he said she did. So I'm still shocked about that. I'm just surprised that she did that.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that you are surprised. Are you going to file a complaint, by the way, about that?
Definitely. I still have her boss's phone number. You know, I still have my connection, so I'm definitely going to take care of that so she doesn't do it to anyone else. That's
very interesting. All right. Well, good luck on doing that, and congratulations. You're going to get $1,395 back.
Thank you so much.
And that'll do it for this case. Thank you so much. Now, let's join Judge Marilyn Milian and her husband, Judge John, for another session of After the Verdict.
Marilyn, you see a fair number of landlord-tenant disputes where there might be Section 8 housing or there might be some government assistance that's going towards paying the rent, like we had in this particular case. You seemed a little stunned at the money that was paid to the caseworker.
Yeah, it's called graft. I mean, you know, it's a bribe. Do something to make the system work in my favor, and I'll give you $1,000. I mean, it's outrageous. I'm going to make sure that our staff sends his testimony, the tape of his testimony, so that she can forward it to the person's boss. Because if that actually happened, and it sounds like it did, because the plaintiff wasn't going to move, and then all of a sudden, her caseworker says, let's move you, I found a place for you. And so it certainly sounds like that happened. It's an outrage.
It is outrageous. Exactly. And there you have it.
Lee, I got to tell you, for those of us who were around during the Judge Wapner time, it was so exciting when Rain Man came out and we heard 10 Minutes to Wapner. It was just one of those moments where you're saying, wow, this show really connected with the psyche of America. It was really exciting for everybody. And I assure you, Judge Wapner was thrilled. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.